Manchester United and Viktor Gyökeres. It's victory for United is their headline. So according to The Sun, Henry, it looks like Gyökeres might be on his way to Old Trafford.
Yeah, I mean, he was heavily linked with Arsenal, but Šeško looks an opportunity for them, for Arsenal. I mean, Gyökeres, obviously, he knows Ruben Amorim very well. He would absolutely fit into that system which he played under Amorim at Sporting. He can play that lone striker role, which Rasmus Højlund has obviously struggled in. He's being linked with move to Italian clubs. So yeah, it makes a lot. But I thought Manchester United were saying that they didn't have much money, and they bought Cunha. They're being linked with Brian and Bremo. They're holding on to Bruno Fernandes, which is great news. They're going to have to start offloading a few players soon as well if they are going to sign these. But if you can get a player like Gyökeres in, fantastic. He's a terrific striker.
So, Mark, if Gyökeres does go to Manchester United and they've signed Cunha already and Mbeumo could be on the way from Brentford, I mean, it all suddenly looks a lot rosier for United. But as Henry alluded to there, there'll have to be some outgoings as well, you would suspect.
Yeah, well, I mean, those three players you mentioned, that amounts to just short of £200 million because Gyökeres has got a £70 million release clause. So, Man United were pleading poverty just a couple of weeks ago, and like Henry said, they've suddenly found a bit of cash behind the sofa. But I know they've had some financial results that have looked a little bit better than they expected today, and I think that will help them. And we were told that they could afford to do Cunha and Delap, but obviously Delap went to Chelsea, but Delap was only £30 million, so it's a big leap to Gyökeres and to Mbeumo, but they need those players. But they've got a lot of players to move on, Marcus Rashford, Anthony, Jadon Sancho, maybe a couple of others, Alejandro Garnacho perhaps, maybe even Kobbie Mainoo, so they're going to have to get people out of the door. And, Gyökeres was a big success under Ruben Amorim at Sporting. We know that he had time in England at Brighton, at Coventry. Has he got what it takes in the Premier League? I know that there was a little bit of doubt at United at one point that he could make the step up in the Premier League, having been in the Portuguese League. The name that was mentioned to me was Darwin Núñez, who has struggled at Liverpool after being at Benfica. He scored goals, Núñez, but he's not scored at anything like the level that they expected him to. So that is a big question. I guess United are trying to sign players that have got Premier League pedigree, but obviously Gyökeres has had a great season at Sporting. He's done it back to back. But like Henry says, the money is suddenly appearing out of nowhere.
Henry, let's stay talking with Manchester United and Ruben Amorim. A headline here in the Telegraph. Amorim told major improvement is expected by United, even if they have a strong summer transfer window. Given how this season has gone for Amorim, he's really going to have to hit the ground running next season, isn't he, Henry?
Well, he is, but remember, he arrived halfway through the season, and any coach manager will tell you that they need a pre-season. He also needs a proper transfer window. We've discussed some of the players he would like to sign. I mean, he's also having to deal with a squad which is basically created by about 4 or 5 different managers, almost different recruiting teams, and that absolutely needs addressing, players going out. But the main issue is his tactical template of 3-4-2-1 is simply not suited to that squad, which is more 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. So the club, they knew that. They knew how he was going to play. So when Ineos brought him in, they now have to absolutely accept that they've got to back their man. They've got to do it long term. He has to win the arguments with individual players. He has to win the argument with the recruitment department and get the players that suit his system. Otherwise, it's pointless having him. He's a terrific young coach. He can grow with Manchester United, but they've got to back him properly.
Today, Man United and Brentford back in club-to-club talks for Bryan Mbeumo. After the first bid, 45 plus £10 million rejected by Brentford, the two clubs are in contact again. Let's wait to see when the official bid will come from Man United, but it will get closer to what Brentford want. Brentford started from £70 million. Then, as always in negotiations, they can drop the pricing for something close to what Man United paid for Matheus Cunha, £62.5 million. So next year, around 60-65 could be enough to convince Brentford. Let's see now how the conversation will go, how much Man United will offer in terms of fixed fee and also add-ons. This is also a factor in this story. But Bryan Mbeumo wants to go to Manchester United. This is the desire of the player. He wants to wear the shirt of Man United. He wants to play at Old Trafford. Despite approaches from Newcastle, Arsenal and more clubs, his priority is Manchester United. He has an agreement with Manchester United and now working to get the deal done. Club to club, Man United are accelerating. Cunha has arrived, and then they want to add one more special player like Bryan Mbeumo behind the striker, because they also want a striker for this summer transfer window. And remember, my exclusive story, I remember it was the day of the Europa League final in Bilbao between Man United and Tottenham. Before that final, I told you that Inter are keen on Rasmus Højlund, and I maintain my position. Inter want Højlund. Let's see if club to club they can find a way, but he's on Inter list. Then for
on his way from Brentford in a deal worth up to 55 million. You like this, Jules?
I think it's a lot of money for two players for Manchester United this summer. 62.5 for Cunha, up to 55 for Mbeumo is a lot. I didn't think that a kind of left-footed right winger was what United needed and wanted, considering you have Amad Diallo, for example, but this is just me. Mbeumo chose United above instead of the other options that he had, including like in Newcastle, for example, who were really keen on him too, to play in their 4-3-3, which is much more similar to what Brentford do than